Hello, everyone. Welcome to this conversation. Marco, how you doing?
Good, Jamin. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for being here. We're going to do a recording of an update based on our really awesome multi-hour conversation from yesterday, where we netted out with this concept that we could do a focused set of conversations around a very simple concept with the acronym. Well, the concept is saving, healing, and intentionally transforming life on Earth. Those first four words spell out the acronym SHIT or shit. So we're calling this the shit in kind of the, popular American, I don't know if it's beyond America, probably the English speaking world, but Jimena even told us yesterday there's this really popular brand of clothing that literally reads Mexico is the shit. So, everybody knows what it means. It means it's cool, but it's got this double meaning because we're also in the shit of exponential planetary overheating, mass extinction, the melting of the ice, the burning of the forest, the extinction of the Amazon. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And it's just horrific. So this is a way to kind of wake people up and really, get to the essence of it. And anyway, I just love it for lots of reasons. So anyway, I'm going to talk more about the shit and get right to the heart of the shit, because I think we've got a really compelling narrative around it and some really nice visuals and everything. Once I cover that, then I'm going to pivot to saying that the shit should be this kind of nugget of conversations and this focus on saving, healing, and intentionally transforming life on Earth within a broader Snackbar, social network of actual conversations. So, which we can launch. I think it's time for us to freaking launch this. And I think with the relationships we're building and some of the technical expertise that we're connecting with, I think we can actually do this in a way that's meaningful. So the shit would just be like this powerful viral nugget within a broader, dare I say, more neutral snack bar, which is about actual conversations about all the things that matter, even if it's not right in the heart of the shit. Okay. So snack bar, big shit, kind of the jewel in the crown, the brown jewel in the crown, shall we say. And, fuck it. It's time to freaking do this. It's time to wake people up and it's time to put it on the table. All right. I'm going to screen share and walk you through what I've been sketching out in the last 24 hours since we had that great meeting yesterday with Kiko Lab. Does this fill the screen pretty well? What I've got it up on the screen, Marco?
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine this is, we're talking about doing a logo. This is literally what I just sketched up yesterday on the fly. So imagine this in a nice and appropriate brown color. And, as like a logo, and I've got some of these points around it, calendar, taxonomy, collective superintelligence, strategy, the press conference, education. But then I boiled it down in a way that I think makes it clear. Okay, so the press conference, and now the press conference, we'll get to the we'll see how these pieces better fit together as we go. So let's not get too hung up on what's where, but the press conference is like compressed shit, right? It condenses it down to a series of very brief presentations, 2 to 5 minutes on each of the main points. One of those is the taxonomy of the shit. Another is, I'm calling it the scalendar. I don't know what you think about that. It's the shit calendar, scalendar. Anyway, but the taxonomy of the shit is real simple. Let's get right to the heart of the taxonomy, okay? There's a platform. I might as well start highlighting in green, trying to find an appropriate diarrhea green, but bright green will have to do for now. Imagine you just had like a radioactive lime green Slurpee or something. Anyway, CSI, Collective Superintelligence. That's what I'm calling the platform. And some people don't like the word platform because it's supposed to be distributed and have all these different elements and everything. So it's not like a centralized platform like Facebook. So it's just the best word I can think of for now. And upon that platform of collective superintelligence, we're going to develop a strategy. That's the way out of the shit, right? I mean, let's play like we mean it. Let's play like we're playing to win. And what I'm suggesting is that undergirding the platform itself is this foundation that I think has gone ignored for far too long. And I'm kind of calling it a foundational education, because we really need to be educated in this, steeped in this, if we're going to do anything at all. And that platform is agency and collective choice. Okay. And I'll delve more into that. All right. Now, here is a new picture of the shit, this kind of star-shaped thing. It's supposed to be a spiral, and we'll talk about spiraling in a little bit. But I'm going to cover the different points around the starfish or star shit, as the case may be. So we got strategy, like we were just talking about. We've got a universal calendar. We've got taxonomy of the shit, the press conference, conversation, and collective superintelligence. So let's unpack each of those one by one. Let's start with strategy. The strategy really has two main vectors, but they both have a common origin, which is food. Feeding everyone plant-based foods. Feeding everyone starts this row of dominoes tumbling, boom, 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 which are the dominoes of all human needs. So beyond food, you got shelter, healthcare, community, access to nature, all that good stuff. The second row of dominoes that feeding everyone plant-based foods kicks off is the dominoes for Mother Earth, saving, healing, and transforming, Mother Earth. Going plant-based eliminates animal agriculture, which is the big offender, okay? So 2 rows of dominoes, and then followed very closely by SRM, solar radiation management. So that's the core strategy right there. Boom, real simple. Feed everyone plant-based foods, and thus kick off 2 rows of dominoes. Okay, and please jump in, Marco, with any questions or comments.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the strategy that we're talking about. Now let's talk about the platform that undergirds that. The platform is CSI, Collective Superintelligence, which is fundamentally a network of conversations, like the great conversation we had yesterday, like the great conversations we have on The Conversation, the press conference, block party, etc. Okay, now we need to organize this network, make it accessible. Part of the organization is in the taxonomy itself. We'll get more to that in a minute. But really crucial, this point I kept hammering on yesterday, perhaps a little bit too much, is we need a universal calendar of all these conversations. When and where are they happening, right? Simple as that, okay? Now we need to delve into what do we mean by a conversation? How do we make conversations effective? And I think that Kiko Lab is really the world leaders in that. How do we make conversations effective? How do we capture them, transcribe them, make sense of them, organize them into taxonomies and all that good stuff, right? And then we have TPC, which stands for the press conference, and that's what I referred to above as compressed shit. Okay, make it really concise. All right, I'm just kind of putting the cards on the table. I'm sure I certainly haven't answered a lot of questions, but we'll get to those. And feel free to pepper me with questions, Marco. So, in fact, let's go ahead and start with, let's imagine the next press conference. The press conference is where we compress it down to a couple minutes per key topic. Okay, so let's talk about the key topics. Starting with the one where I say it all starts with, see here, I'm saying it all starts here. What's here? Collective agency and choice. It all starts there. So let's start there. What are we talking about? Collective agency and choice. I'm going to go back onto video for a moment for this. And I think this has been an elephant in the room that we've been ignoring, that I keep talking about. Agency. We have the ability to change the course of history. Not just you and me, Marco, you and I, but all of humanity. We have this collective agency that we haven't tapped into yet. We haven't gotten our shit together to say, okay, let's get together and do this, right? And yeah, the mechanics are, okay, collective superintelligence, network of conversations, universal calendar with search and tagging and all this good stuff so people can find the conversations that they want to plug into. You know, the press conference is very important as well. All these pieces are important, but before we can even begin to put the pieces together and recruit people properly, we need to address the elephant in the room of agency. And collective agency and collective choice. By collective agency, I mean what we can do together when we truly come together as a collective. And just because we've never done this before, it doesn't mean we can't. We're humans. We're infinitely flexible. We're powered by stories. We need the right story. I think the shit is the right story. We need to get together and save, heal, and transform life on Earth, or it's going to be curtains for us, right?
I think part of the problem is nobody wants to accept their agency.
That's it. It's a scary thing. It's like, it's, yeah.
We give it away and blame everything on somebody else, government, this level of society, that level. You know, it's never our fault. It's never our fault. You know, because if we don't accept our agency. It's not even that, you know, I think essentially most people believe the idea is we don't have agency. Somebody else, it's somebody else's responsibility. And it's not, it's our responsibility. We need to take our agency, accept the responsibility, and move forward. And get this shit done.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And so the first step in this spiral, so let me talk for a second about the spiral. So the spiral is there's a certain number of key topics that we need to hit over and over and over again and refine and refine and refine. You know, like a V6 engine with 6 pistons. We need, you know, the pistons, you know, in a certain order, and then they need to keep going and keep going and keep going until the thing is just purring, right? So the first one of those is collective agency and collective choice. And with agency, to have agency doesn't mean that you've got all the answers, you know exactly what to do. It just says, you know what, okay, I'm finally showing up and accepting my responsibility as part of this human family, and that, yes, we're going to come together. And then we can go on to the other pistons that need to fire, like collective superintelligence, the network of conversations, the universal calendar. That's why I keep hammering on the universal calendar. We got all these great conversations that are happening. I need to pause for a second. One second. So, you know, that's why I kept hammering yesterday on the universal calendar, right? There's all these great conversations happening all over the place. Let's freaking put them on a calendar and say, okay, this is the beginning of this network of conversations that's organized, that's going to address all of this, right? So, but see, it all fits together. That's why I think the spiraling is so important. Collective agency, collective choice. Let's do this. Number 2, collective superintelligence. What's missing? Universal calendar. Let's do it, right? And then another is strategy. Let's have the conversation about strategy. I just laid it out really briefly. Let's delve into it. And then out of this core spiral, just like a galaxy, there can be these arms that emanate from the spiral, so that specific groups can get around the food thing and say, okay, let's figure that out. They can get around the SRM thing. Let's figure that out. Get around the housing, the shelter thing. Let's figure that out. Healthcare, let's figure it out. All this can be figured out. And so I'm just going to keep working on down the list. So imagine we've got the single calendar. On that calendar, we put these 6 pistons, let's say. You know, what are the 6 pistons? Collective agency and choice, collective agency and collective choice, collective superintelligence, the strategy that we develop and perfect using that collective superintelligence. Those are those 3 things. Boom, boom, boom. The 3-layer cake that I showed there. So those are kind of the big 3. The calendar empowers collective superintelligence, that network of conversations. It's really part of the platform, but I like to break it out because we just really need to put the focus on it. Another I call the big why. Why the shit? Why the press conference? Why the network of conversations? Why collective superintelligence? And that's where I call the reality check. What's really going on here? We're overheating exponentially. The last of the ice is melting. The last of the Amazon is burning. You know, in the United States, we're going from fascism to Nazism. The world is going to hell. Reality check. Hello. Anyway, so now I'm going to go a little bit deeper into it. So let me screen share again. Okay. Point 0, collective agency and collective choice. The who is you, actually us, all of us. Do you get it? Do you get collective agency and collective choice? If not, stay here in this conversation. Stay with it until you get it. That's why I think it should be a recurring conversation, and there needs to be a lot of focus on it, because that's going to be the gateway, the entry point. Once you get that, boom, then we can go on to strategy. And it all starts with food first, not just any kind of food, plant-based food. I'm just reading along here, right? Okay, why plant-based food and why feed everyone? And I'm going to make a profound point. You can only understand why in the conversation. You have to have the conversation. You have to go there with us to really understand it. Is that fair, Marco?
Yeah, I think that's very
You know,
fair.
it's not something I can just type and you read and say, okay, no, I get it. No, you need to get it experientially. You need to get it in conversation with your fellow human beings who also get it. Okay.
Yeah, let's just simply address, you know, the food part. If you can't understand why we need to feed everybody, you need to have that conversation.
Exactly. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. Now, from food to all the basic human needs, that's a conversation that gets beyond this tragedy of the commons bullshit that was talked about yesterday, right? And again, to really get that, to really get all basic, we're talking about basic human needs. We're not talking about luxuries for everyone or spreading everything among everyone equally. No, no, no. We're talking about the basics. And again, that's something that you need to be in the conversation to get. And then beyond human needs, the needs of Mother Earth, and why it must be in this order. Until we liberate humanity from the all-day monopoly game of individual hoarding for individual survival, and we don't guarantee survival, we're going to be screwed. And no one's going to be able to give a hoot about Mother Earth, other than some very enlightened folks who happen to have transcended this, but we're a tiny minority. All right. And that all comes through the conversation. So we've covered collective agency and collective choice and the core strategy. Now, the big how are we going to achieve all this? Collective superintelligence. If you truly get agency, choice, and strategy, then CSI, Collective Superintelligence, will make sense to you. Otherwise, go back to the basics of agency, choice, and strategy, and then come back here. Because until you get the basics down, none of this is going to make any sense. What collective what? It doesn't make any sense, right? But once you get that we truly have agency and the power to choose and the power to develop a winning strategy, it all makes sense. Okay. Including the food piece. It's totally viable to feed everyone. We've got a really great strategy for that. That's one of these spiral arms that emanates out from strategy, this focus on food that I was talking about earlier. Now, conversations are at the heart of collective superintelligence. For example, the transformational conversations of, point 0 and point 1, agency, choice, and strategy. Here we are in point 2, CSI. So from there, more precisely from this place of understanding about conversations, we can embrace the crucial concept of the network of conversations. And crucially, why there is only one single the network of conversations, which at present is centered around point 0 of the shit, agency and choice. The center of the shit. It's really centered around the shit, saving, healing, and transforming life on Earth. Point 3. Okay, let me go back to my cheat notes here to see what point 3 is. Oh yeah, S calendar, the single calendar, scalendar. Point 3. When you get that there is only one singular network of conversations, that is it. And then I digress. Well, wait a minute. In case there's any doubt or confusion, if there were 2 or more networks of conversations, then as soon as they found each other, they would merge into one, because we're talking about networks of conversations that truly get it. That get agents, collective agency, collective choice, that get the strategy, et cetera, okay? Now, you might exclaim, why wouldn't they compete with each other? The answer to that question is, if you have to ask, it's too much for you. You have to go back to the basics of point 0. And when you truly get 0, 1, and 2, then you will be ready. See, there's a certain order to this spiral. You have to go in order, 0, 1, 2, and then finally 3. Anyway, when you truly get all of the above, it will be apparent to you why there must be a singular calendar or scalendar, which contains all of the conversations grounded upon all of the above. Point 4, the big why of the shit, and why now and why me, Luke Skywalker? Why me? I can't do anything. Right? Well, meet Professor Guy McPherson and Dr. Ye Tao of Harvard. They'll tell you why this is so darn urgent. Not that they necessarily agree with all this, right? I'm not sure that they've reached the point of understanding of agency. I hope they have, and if they haven't, please correct me. But the bottom line is they get the urgency and they get the solutions better than anyone else I know of. The big picture solution of cooling the planet. I don't know that they've necessarily connected the dots back to food and meeting basic human needs as a prerequisite to all that. But anyway, that's why. And now that you get all that, you'll see why we must follow a particular strategy in order to get there. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay, so what's next? So this thing of the shit, I see the shit as sort of this killer app, but it needs a home. And I think Snackbar is the appropriate home, the social network of actual conversations, which is, again, a broader thing, a bigger thing than just the shit. Let me go on back onto camera here. So the whole idea of Snackbar, as we've talked about, the social network of actual conversations. We can post multiple conversations in the calendar. I think the shit and the shit spiral in points 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. should be very front and center there, but not the only thing, because people are going to be coming at this from multiple different directions. Not everyone is going to be ready to embrace the shit from the get-go. And I think we need to have multiple points of entry. So I think we need to have conversations that aren't, I think the shit is truly the shit, but not everyone's ready for the shit, right? There are some vegans who aren't ready to embrace SRM. There's some people who are into permaculture who aren't ready to embrace collective superintelligence. So we need to let people enter from wherever they want, as long as it's broadly about, saving, healing, and transforming life on Earth. Even if you don't get the shit, you can say, hey, I want to do good. I want to do good through permaculture. Great, come on in. Hey, I want to do good through B corporations. Great, come on in. Hey, I want to do good through political transformation and Bernie Sanders. Great, come on in, right? So the whole idea of Snackbar is we let people post all their conversations as long as they clear a certain minimum bar, that they're basically about helping life on Earth, right? They can include introductory videos, sample videos. If there are certain conversations that you need to apply to join, they don't just let everyone in, fine, have that capability to apply to join. People can get certified as nice and trustworthy, level 1, whatever that means. And that'll give them just immediate access to a bunch of conversations that have that minimum bar. And maybe there's a level 2 and a level 3 and whatever, right? Maybe there's a Kiko certified. I don't know, I'm just speculating here. And maybe some of these conversations are even pay to play, through Eventbrite or whatever. Fine, enable all that. I'm just kind of brainstorming some of the things we want to enable, because we want to enable all kinds of transformational conversations, even the ones that don't get to the heart of the shit yet. I think they all eventually will, right? But anyway, the press conference is another crucial part of that, because as we've discussed, for a lot of people, before they're really ready to listen, they first need to be heard. And the press conference creates a really nice systematic way for everyone to be heard and to say, hey, I want to start this conversation. Give people the ability to sign up and hold open houses, whether in the conversation or even other places that host open houses. So Snackbar is not just about the conversation, it's about all these different networks creating sort of an aggregator, right? The universal calendar, but even way beyond the shit. Give people the ability to sign up for World Cafe and even speed networking events. The more we can help people to network and connect with each other, the more, I think ultimately all roads lead to the shit, because it's just freaking obvious to us, and soon it'll be obvious to everyone. Tools for categorizing, tagging conversations relative to taxonomies, or even Stan Pockrass style tagging systems, as we've talked about. On the homepage of Snackbar, we could spotlight all kinds of really cool things, like Kiko Lab, like the block party, like the conversation, like the press conference, like the shit, right? We can allow people to browse by topic, by category. We can have featured articles like the spiraling method applied to transformational conversations. We can use, the shit as an example of that, but let's be open to other examples. The press conference, we can spotlight the press conference as sort of an experiential directory. And there can be all kinds of spirals. Anyway, I just wanted to give a brief introduction for now. I got to go in like 1 minute, literally. So any quick comments or questions before we wrap?
Well, I think as long as we're alive and humanity is on this planet and consuming, there's always going to be shit to deal with. So we need to deal with the shit.
Absolutely. And right now, this shit is really big and really serious. So the sooner we get into it, the better. So come join us and let's get into the shit together.
Sounds like
all
a
right.
plan.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Marco. I'll see you soon. All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jamin.
And thanks for watching. Thanks everyone for watching.